What's up, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Variant, the podcast. We've been talking about this for like a year now, and we are very, very excited to finally bring it to you. We are on a brand new set just for the podcast. We got an awesome custom logo made that we're going to talk about in a bit, and we have Tim to my right.
What's up, everybody?
So some of you may know Tim, some of you may not. So Tim, introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Tim Connolly. I am the producer of Variant. Arris and I have been working together and bringing you all the Variant goodness for quite a few years now. How long has it been? It's been what, 5? Almost 6 years?
Something like that.
It's been a long time anyway.
A minute.
So, but I'm the man in the shadows. I've been the man in the shadows for a while. But, you know, for those of you long-time viewers of the show, you've seen me pop up from time to time.
Yeah, you've hosted a handful of episodes.
Yeah, I've hosted a couple of episodes, a couple when you were out and otherwise. And then, of course, we had the podcast kind of trial run that we did back in July after San Diego Comic-Con. And Arris and I were talking all things Comic-Con after that. So, but more broadly, Variant is one of the shows of a parent company called Triune Films, for which I am the executive producer and the chief operating officer. So I know it's so fancy. So we produce Variant and Film Riot, which is another show that we have that some of you would probably know as well. So we do a lot of different things, but this is kind of the new format that Arris and I have been bouncing around because this is what we do every day.
We just talk about all this kind of stuff in the studio.
Yeah,
so let's record it.
Exactly.
Record it.
We enjoy so much just talking about everything that's going on in the world of geekdom and comics and movies and TV and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and I'll also mention that, and this is important to kind of explain to the audience, is that while Arris is like the comic book guy, he's a massive lifelong comic book fan, I did not grow up reading comic books.
So you're saying you can't tell me the first appearance of Arkham Asylum?
I probably can't.
Batman 258.
That's why he's here. That's why we have him. But, you know, so while I enjoy comic books and I do read them, I'm not as avid a comic book reader as Arris is. What I am more is on the filmmaking side. That's mainly what I do for a living, if you want to call it that. I produce this show. Arris and I creatively produce this show, as well as logistically, I handle all the logistics and business side of Variant. But so I'm going to be bringing to the show that perspective. So that's kind of like going to be the format.
That's awesome, I think.
Yeah,
it's cool to have two different perspectives.
And I think that's what makes our conversation so fun is we're bringing two different perspectives.
Right.
And so that's what we're hoping to bring.
But that's not how it was in the comic book. But it was a good story anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not how it was, Tim.
So I'll be more like the I guess we can call it like an intermediate comic book fan, but so I'll have a lot more to say on certain topics. Like, don't get me started on Lord of the Rings.
I think you could do that one all by yourself too.
And then Arris will have a lot more to say on others. Yes. So altogether, it's just going to be fun. But also, we have a lot of people to thank who actually partnered with us, right, to make this awesome set possible and to help us bring this together. You know, we designed the set, but we had a couple of big companies that actually partnered with us to bring us things like the chairs we're sitting on and also this awesome logo behind us. Arris, tell us about Rock Your Wall.
Okay, this is made by, as Tim just said, Rock Your Wall, Dave from Rock Your Wall, and I actually just came upon them on Instagram. It's a mom and pop type company that he basically works for himself, and his family helps him a lot. And he makes amazing products. Like, this is a custom-made, obviously, Variant sign. It's actually LED, like it lights up, but we're still kind of it works, but we're still installing it, I guess you could say. We need to get a dimmer for it.
Well, yeah, we don't have it lit right now because we're still kind of, you know, it's a little bit of trial and error to see what works with the lighting on the set and things like that,
and the camera and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he makes some awesome stuff. He's on Instagram. He has an Etsy account. We're going to put links for that in the description, obviously.
And for those of you who are watching, you can actually see it right now.
He makes awesome signs. He has a Batman the Animated Series sign that I need so much, and I'm going to probably have to bother him for because Christmas. I'll be like, I want
Dude,
one.
He has this Jurassic Park. Did you see the Jurassic Park sign?
Anything.
I need that for my office.
Game of Thrones. He's got like all the houses from Game of Thrones.
Anything you can think of.
Aquaman, Batman,
it's
anything.
Kind of crazy.
And custom, if you have an idea, like we were like, hey, presented him with, you know, we want a logo for our new podcast set. And boom, this thing is amazing. It's craftsmanship, really, really good. Again, link in the description below, and you're definitely going to want
it. Really did come out like way beyond even what we had hoped.
And he's a super nice dude too. Like just, becoming friends with him. Nice. Very, very nice. So you can message him, hit him up, and get an awesome piece for your room or office or whatever.
And then also the chairs that we're sitting on, the awesome people over at Ewan, they sent us over 3 of these chairs, 2 for one for Arris and I, and then 1 for when we have guests on the show, because we are going to have guests on the show from time to time. We talk to creators and different people that are just we think are going to be interesting and fun to talk to.
They're very comfy.
Yeah, they're comfy and they're huge and there's a lot of room for activities. So special thanks to the people. You never know.
What are you going to be doing in your chair?
What you can kick out. Well, I'll stop there. I won't go any further. but yeah, special thanks to the people over at Ewan for bringing us these chairs. They are awesome. They're actually designed to be gaming chairs.
So they're comfy for your butt.
Yeah. So you can sit in these things for a very long time and you never get uncomfortable. So special thanks to them as well.
Yep. But with that said, I guess let's actually start talking about topics today for our very first podcast.
Yes. And there's one that stands out.
Yes, there's one that stands out. It's been out for it's a movie. It's been out for about 2.5 weeks now. It's on its way to be the number 1 rated R movie of all time.
And the buzz just continues.
Yes. And that, of course, is The Joker by Todd Phillips, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And for those of you who watch the show, which I'm assuming a lot of you do, I already gave my personal review on it, but we're going to go way more in depth here.
Yeah,
because I only scratched the surface.
Yeah, we got to open up on that because we did a spoiler review.
Yeah.
And you got to spill your guts a little bit. But him and I saw it together and, it was just both of us walked out of the theater and we were kind of we didn't really know what to say at first. You felt kind of overwhelmed. I did.
Although there were
several
moments where I know your arm was sore because I'm like, there was just so many parts where I was like, no way.
Yeah, it's just there's so many moments in that movie.
Well, something's kind of fun. Let's talk about our favorite moment.
Oh man,
from the movie. I know I have several, but I have one in my mind that I've acted out for you
several times. I think. Yeah,
but you go first. What is your favorite moment in the movie or scene?
For me, my favorite scene in the movie has to be where again, spoilers for days for those of you who haven't seen the movie. This is going to be very spoilerific, but it has to be that moment where he just before or when his the 2 people that his former coworkers come in and he kills one of them with a pair of scissors.
Yes.
And just everything that transpires with the coworker that he lets live, everything that happens after that, it was just unnerving but funny.
That's really funny because that's actually my favorite scene. More specifically,
you like the one.
Yeah. So the scene we're referring to, his 2 coworkers, the one he brutally kills with scissors and then bashes his head against the wall. It's gruesome.
It's brutal and gruesome.
But then the other one, he's kind of not sure. Obviously, at that point, if you would see like your former coworker just kill one of your other coworkers in his apartment, you're like, oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Like that is it for me. And he's just looking at, Arthur's character all terrified and like, is he gonna let me live? Is he not gonna let me live? And Joaquin freaking Phoenix in his performance was sitting there with blood, white face paint, blood splatter all over his face and just kind of sitting, chilling there. And then out of nowhere goes, bah!
Yeah.
Like scares him, like
scare him.
But it was like
it's a joke.
Like it's a joke. And it was just like so sadistic. It was like, this guy's so far gone that after he brutally murdered his coworker, he's making a joke.
Yeah. That had to be that had to be improv. He had to have lived that moment because it was just so organic and natural. But also that when he gets to the door.
Yes.
That's the one you can't reach the lock. And Arthur Fleck, he's just like he has to call him Arthur. And he just and he opens the door and then he just pauses and he says, and he closes the door again. And as the audience at this point, they have beaten you up so much and shocked you so many times that you genuinely don't know what he's going to do in that moment. And he says, you were the only one who was nice to me. And he just kisses him on the head, opens the door and he says, go on. And you're just like
crazy. You're
like taking a deep breath for that character while simultaneously just being like, whoa, about Joaquin Phoenix's how convincing. I tweeted right afterward, after we saw the movie, I said, does anyone have eyes on Joaquin Phoenix? Because it was just too convincing.
No, for sure. It's just everything about the movie. Then there's a bunch of quotable lines, like all the scene because again, spoilers. I mean, if you're still listening at this point, it's spoiled already. But the scene where he's imagining that he's been dating his neighbor.
Yes.
So when we reveal that it is all in his imagination, he's in her bed. He broke into her apartment. She comes in and she's all like, "What are you doing here?" And you're like, "Oh crap, this was all like in his head." And he just says, "I had a bad day."
Dude, like, oh my god.
First, I'm like, killing joke. That was number one. Was like a killing joke, like homage / reference. And second, just even standing alone in that movie, I'm like, oh, he gonna kill her.
Oh man,
like,
and he doesn't.
She gonna die. Yeah, she doesn't.
Well,
no,
we're pretty sure he doesn't. They don't show.
That's another thing about this movie where a lot of people are thinking that all of it was an illusion. It was all in his head, where maybe none of this even happened. Because I guess when you really do think about it,
because of the end at Arkham,
the end of Arkham, but even like, would society and like that many hundreds, if not thousands of people in the streets gather and lift them up almost like as a god? Because that seems very much like something he would envision in his head, like earlier in the movie on the Murray show when he was being all nice to him. So it was kind of like that on a different level.
Yeah.
So we don't really know.
Yeah, man. That was one of the things that I loved about this movie was the writing was so brilliant. You know, a lot of people were upset, and as far as some of the content, some of the violent content, and even some of it that from a political standpoint. And going in, I was like, oh come on, we got to violent. And then coming out, I was a little bit more understanding of maybe some people that might have been slightly concerned.
Yes,
but at the same time, there have been many. I mean, the Purge movies, are a good example. Those are recent. We had multiple sequels,
for sure.
And they had a similar tone. But
and then the obvious like King of Comedy.
Yeah, exactly. So Taxi Driver and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like going in, it's like, yeah, okay, this is going to be violent. This has a really rough. But then you watch this movie, and there's so many. The writing is done so well. There's so many great points to be made, but at the same time, it's just this fascinating character study of this man with mental illness slowly embracing his madness, like 100%.
Yeah.
And just the way that that slow burn, that slow escalation till it finally reaches, because that was one of my other favorite scenes in the movie, is where that subway scene where he's on the subway and he's getting beat up and he winds up killing those two Wall Street guys.
Yep.
And he goes into that bathroom.
Yes.
And any sane human, we were talking about this earlier, sane human being would be freaking out, right? Which is the way it was written, actually, it turns out. With an interview with Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix.
He's supposed to be like throwing up in the sink.
He was supposed to be like just panicked and freaking out. And they were like, they got in the scene, they started shooting, and they said, this isn't working. And they just got Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix alone in the bathroom with a camera. And, they started trying to work out, and it turned into that where he just takes a breath and he starts that dance, slow, methodical. And then combined with the score, the music from Hilda, it's like, dude.
I've seen a lot of people. That's why I brought it up to you. I believe it was actually earlier today because I keep thinking about the movie. But a lot of people were complaining about that scene, saying like, no, who would do that after like they just murdered some people? And I'm like, that's the point.
That is
like,
exactly the point.
For him, that was a sense of release, and he's never experienced emotion like that before. So it made him want to dance, and only a crazy person would do that. Exactly.
Anybody else, you would be doing what they wrote. You would be panicking.
So
and you get that full understanding that he's given in.
My answer to anyone is like, who would do that? Is like, exactly. Yeah. Who would do that?
Yep.
That is the point.
The Joker would do that.
But we actually just found out earlier today, there's been several sites reporting on that we're probably going to be getting a sequel, a Joker 2.
Yeah, which,
is crazy.
It's surprising, not surprising. Because, we were talking about it. Like, Todd Phillips came out after the movie and was even like answering people that were saying, is there going to be a sequel? And he was saying, as of right now, this was never intended to have a sequel. And then, of course, it's super successful, and it's making a lot of money and all that stuff. So you anticipate that, of course, in this day and age where everything gets a sequel,
it's made $750 million.
Yeah,
of course we're making another one.
But so now hearing that there's at least strong rumors that they are going to make a sequel, I'm like, there's a part of me that's glad, and there's a part of me that's like, but.
Yeah, I'm of two worlds. Like, I think I'm more firm on the fact where I don't want them to. I think this is very much should be like an Elseworlds story. I've been saying that before. Elseworlds is awesome, like a one and done thing where it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't want them to taint it and just, oh, it made a lot of money. Let's sequel. It's like, okay, but at the same time, I would want to see him play the character again, but is it going to be as good? Like, where are you going to go?
If Joaquin comes back,
he's going to be good as the Joker, but story-wise, where are you going to go?
But it's like lightning in a bottle, though, right? Because it's not just Joaquin's performance, which I would say use the word groundbreaking. I don't use words like terms like that very often.
It was a very Daniel Day-Lewis performance.
Yeah. But it was very, it wasn't just his performance. It was the combination of Todd Phillips. This was his script. This was his baby. So he really brought his A game. And then Joaquin Phoenix, and then the score was just so good.
But you gotta imagine if they are doing it too. There's no way they're gonna do. I mean, I don't think Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix would let them do it without them. And if they do, then we just know it's not going to be good.
I mean, I have to imagine not. It's because it's like, what's the point of making a sequel?
Exactly, because I know Joaquin wouldn't do it without Phillips and vice versa. You would imagine that the composer and everyone.
If you bring the team back.
Yeah.
We're going to get something special. This was something special, and whether or not they can replicate it exactly. And also it depends. Are they going to incorporate this into what Matt Reeves is doing?
But that's what I'm saying. But like I was saying in the very first thing I brought up as the credits rolled was, well, first I was like, oh my God, they're freaking, could this be a prequel to like the Matt Reeves Batman stuff or even Affleck stuff?
Because of the death of
Right. But
Thomas
at the same time, the thing I was telling you is like, but the freaking timeline doesn't line up, because by the time Batman's like 25, 30, the Joker's going to be like 60, 65.
Right.
And that just doesn't really fit too well, I don't think.
But part of the rumor is that the sequel is set to be way in the future. So then the question is, are they going to continue on with kind of this black label version
and cast another Batman, just like they cast?
You would have to imagine there's no way
that Robert Pattinson
that they're going to get that confusing within under the same studio. You know what I mean? Where you're going to have 2-3 Batmans over the course 2 at the same time. And 3 over the course of just a couple of years.
DC's doing lately they've been putting out some pretty good movies, I guess.
Yeah.
If anything, people have liked Aquaman, Shazam, Joker, Wonder Woman. So they've been hitting, Aquaman was $1 billion movie.
Right.
Shazam, everyone loved it. People were loving. This is going to be the #1 rated R movie of all time, the Joker. So they've been doing good lately.
And if you combine it with what they're doing on the DC universe, DC's been definitively moving in a kind of a darker, more gritty, more grown-up version of comic book
I'm
films.
like of 2 worlds of, but that's another.
That's a whole separate topic. Yeah, for another
I've
day.
ranted about that before.
Yeah, but again, it's like you can't even compare them. You cannot line up the Joker next to Aquaman. No, not just quality of the film. I'm talking about even in their tone.
Correct.
They're so night
One's
and day
like a straight
different.
character study drama. The other one's a blockbuster film.
So I guess a lot of it is going to be, I'm going to be real interested to see, first what Matt Reeves does with the Batman, where he goes with that. And then as we learn more and we get confirmation of, is there a Joker sequel?
Actually, this actually just, okay. All right. Maybe they can make this work. This just came into my head. So what if?
Combining the two?
Well, no, as far as a Joker too, just as because I was like, I don't know if they could. You could. And this would be my argument. It actually just popped into my head. The Joker graphic novel by Brian Azzarello. That was a solo book. Yeah. The Batman was in it for 5 pages. Right. If that, it was literally just a character study of the Joker from one of his henchmen's perspectives.
Right.
So what if it's literally just a Joker? Because for me, when you say sequel, I'm like, especially with the death of Bruce Wayne's parents at the end of it, I'm like, oh, well, then they're going to bring in Batman. But you don't necessarily have to. You could just do a whole side story still on the Joker and follow him as now
just
the
keep going.
Joker. Because he was only the Joker really for what? The last 30 minutes of the film?
If that.
So this, I mean, oh, maybe I am excited. Oh, man.
Yeah, look.
I think I just convinced myself.
If the whole team comes back, I'll be excited no matter what.
Yeah.
This was such a good movie from top to bottom. The writing, like I said, every part of this movie was well done.
Yes.
And it was the first time in a long time I've walked out of a movie speechless.
My emotions
my emotions were so wound up. And it was such a visceral experience. I didn't know right off the bat how to articulate what I thought about the film.
And a lot of people have been tweeting to me and asking, like, well, what does that mean? You like this better than Heath Ledger, the Heath Ledger Joker? And I'm like I said before, I think they're too different. They totally different to compare.
I said yes.
You do, so you do.
Yeah. For me, this was because I felt like because I agree with you on that front. They are apples and oranges in a way.
They're completely different movies.
Totally
tones
different
and
movies.
Yeah.
It's just totally very different in that front. But as far as a pure character performance, I personally thought Joaquin Phoenix is my #1 Joker now.
Really? I was watching,
even though he wasn't really the Joker for long, so it's kind of hard. It was, you know what it is?
He just captured crazy so well.
It's more that he just was his performance as a whole, as Arthur Fleck, and then showing us how someone who already suffers from mental illness can get from point A to Joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just found it so fascinating and concerned for Joaquin Phoenix.
I was watching clips of Heath Ledger Joker last night. I was like on a YouTube vortex. I was watching like Man of Steel clips too. What happened basically going a little rant right here. I started listening to Hans Zimmer's score like on my phone for some reason because time
for The Dark Knight.
No, Time from Inception.
Oh, because Inception. That's a great score.
Yeah, on YouTube, I found his live performance, and I was watching him perform like live for like the Man of Steel soundtrack, Inception, and then that led me to the Man of Steel, and then that led me to like Heath Ledger. It's YouTube wormhole. Anyway, I ended up
as we do.
Yeah, I ended up watching a bunch of clips from the Joker, Heath Ledger's performance. And man, I guess it's like the nostalgia, but even just because that was the more comic book Joker
for sure,
and obviously me comic books. That's like my #1 love outside of like my family and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think if I did have to pick, even though like I've said they are completely different, I'll still go Heath Ledger.
You're still gonna go Heath Ledger?
I'm still gonna go
wow. Well,
because let's put a smile on that face.
Yeah.
You know,
he brought such an incredible dynamic to that comic book version of the Joker.
Like I want to see that kind of Joker in the DCEU, where again, I don't think
that'll be replicated.
No, it won't. But I mean, kind of just like that kind of tone where again, the Joker solo movie, it's just so different. You can't bring, like you said earlier, you couldn't bring that in to like the DCU, like and put him up against Aquaman.
No,
it's just
because
so
he was also like Heath Ledger. While he was crazy, but he was intimidating.
Yes,
right. Like
so
you were worried about him, right? Like what he could do, and you felt that he brought a presence where like he could do damage. Whereas Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, he was crazy, and you would always be concerned about because he'd be totally unpredictable. But he didn't feel physically imposing.
No,
you know what I mean. He felt like almost like a kid in a weird way. Almost like a kid who had completely lost his mind.
Like he's going to kill my puppy for fun.
Exactly. Yeah, like he kind of had that. Like, so you don't want to let him have a gun.
No.
Right? Obviously.
Right. That would be an interesting battle.
But with Heath Ledger, it was like, you felt like he could get into a fist fight with Batman.
Yes, he did.
Know what I mean?
He did, yeah.
I mean, he got his butt kicked.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, we've ranted about the Joker. We can do the whole podcast on this. Maybe we should have done the whole podcast on the Joker.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is episode #1, so we got quite a few bases because a lot has happened since over the last few weeks.
Speaking of a lot that's happened, let's stay in the movie realm. We've got 2 trailers that came out this week.
Yes.
Starting with, let's do
one much bigger than the other,
but let's start with the smaller one because it's still in the actual like comic book superhero world, which is Bloodshot.
Yes.
Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious star, Groot.
Valiant's first soiree out into the cinema landscape.
Don from Fast and the Furious, Vin Diesel will be Bloodshot. Now, I actually liked the trailer. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. I was worried. And the trailer,
I'll be honest.
the trailer was good. I mean, it falls in. It looks like a Fast movie, but like superheroes, which I guess the last like 5 Fast movies have been like superhero movies with cars. So it just looks like fun. Like I'm not expecting like this, this Joker-esque like awesome story, awesome performances. It's just like, you're gonna look cool while blowing stuff up. It's
not gonna be what Martin Scorsese would call art.
Oh, here we go. That can of worms, huh? Woo.
All right, I won't drift down that path.
Freaking guy.
But like I was like you, we were together on that. We were both like unsure about how is this gonna turn out because it is, it's not that it was, Valiant's first superhero film. It's that it was in the hands of Sony.
Sony, yes.
And Sony,
because Valiant's characters are really cool and have all the potential in the world.
For sure.
It's just like you said, it's like who they were, what hands they were in.
Yeah. And a lot of people, there's a ton of Valiant fans that were crazy excited to see what the Valiant, because the Valiant universe has a ton of potential.
If done right, it
yeah,
would be
if done
amazing.
right, it could be. Especially, I mean, there's so much science fiction like stuff you could do.
I know Shadow
Bloodshot
Man is your favorite.
Yeah, Shadow Man, and Rye. I like I like some of that stuff that's either whether it's supernatural based or sci-fi. But there's so much potential there, and Sony has been kind of hit or miss on the superhero front. And lately it's been more miss up until the Into the Spider-Verse. But the trailer, I was like you, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, that actually. I know my problem with it, I don't know if you thought this. My problem with the trailer was they showed too much. I felt like we got the whole movie in a trailer.
That was actually the top comment on YouTube.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the top comment. People saying like, oh, so I guess I don't have to see the movie now.
Yeah, it was like, why are you showing so much of the movie?
What's interesting to me as far as character changes is, one, he has no hair now. Bloodshot is now bald like I am.
Right.
But also,
and I'd imagine that'd be Vin Diesel's doing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna wear a wig. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. You're not spray painting my scalp.
But also, I'm curious to see how they're gonna handle his white skin, because we saw him briefly. Like he's like Bloodshot's character is like pale, like white, right? With bloodshot eyes. And in for most of the trailer, he's not. I think there was like one or two scenes. So I wonder if that's almost like a power up thing where he turns it on and he can turn it off, or is it just towards the end of the movie?
My bet was because they were saying, they showed the scene where they're like, you died. So what I'm assuming might be the case is that over time his skin. He loses the pigmentation in his skin because of the nanites, and he's technically dead, sort of a thing.
But wouldn't the nanites supposed to be restore that, as they're restoring every gun wound from him?
They're going to give us some kind of a science fiction technical or answer for it, like the nanites inject a chemical that dies kills the pigmentation.
I mean, but in a nutshell, I'm excited. I hope that
I'm actually looking forward to see what they do.
And I want an Easter egg at the end of maybe like Ninjak or like Exo or something that kind of leads to a bigger universe.
Well, that's I think our friends over at Comic Tom, Tom was even upset about the fact that they just, what was the other studio that just got
oh, I know what you're talking about. They just
was it Harbinger?
It was Harbinger. I believe it. I think maybe possibly.
I can't remember which one, but one of the other stories, one of the other books and titles for Valiant,
Universal.
Went to Paramount. I thought
it was Paramount.
Was it Paramount?
Could be Paramount. Yeah,
I can't remember.
Another studio. The point is
studio.
Not Sony.
Yeah, that's the key point. Is it went somewhere other than Sony, and it's like, oh man, well, but so we're not getting any kind of a cinematic universe here. These are going to be one-offs, and that's a little bit disappointing.
And I hope they don't pull like what Marvel did in the early stages, where Sony and Fox had like X-Men, Fantastic Four, and now they're trying to get them back. Where now they'll have to be like, Sony could have these 5 characters, and then Paramount has like these 5 characters, and if you want them to mix, you're gonna have a deal.
Yes.
So I hope they don't do that. That would not be great.
That would not be great.
But the biggest trailer that came out this week, probably the biggest trailer for the end of the year for sure.
It's certainly one of the biggest trailers of 2019.
Star Wars Episode 9. We got the final, because it's the final trailer for Episode 9, but it's also the final trailer for like
the Skywalker Saga.
The Skywalker Saga ever. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. And this is gonna be a topic that we are gonna elaborate on an entire podcast one day. We're gonna do a Star Wars podcast where I can freaking say everything I've got to say.
You are a much bigger Star Wars fan than I am. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but he's a bigger Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I'm a lifetime Star Wars fan. The movies came out just a little while before I was born, and I grew up on Star Wars. So
with that said, as far as thoughts on the trailer, overall, I like the trailer. But I will say, my mind was not blown. I didn't really feel any real emotion besides like, yeah, I'm going to see it. Because I know it seemed like the consensus was, at least on my Twitter feed and all the social media sites and stuff that I look up and whatnot, the people were like really digging it and got emotional by it and stuff, which is awesome. Because people, like, I get mad when I don't feel that way because I want to like everything. Why would I not want to like something?
Yeah.
But
I want to be with you.
Yeah, but for me, it's not that I didn't like it. It's just I would have been so much more jacked because I like Kylo Ren. Rey is freaking awesome. Poe is they're all good characters, but we've only had them for 2 movies thus far. So I'm not nearly as attached to like any of these new characters than I am to like Luke, Han, Chewie, C-3PO, R2, like all Vader, like all those characters. Yeah. So for me, for it to be the end and 2 of the biggest characters already like dead, Han and Luke, it's like, okay, so you're ending this saga without the two biggest characters.
Yeah, and we talked about that like the day it came out, because that, as somebody who grew up with Star Wars, like so many people, and I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan, but my fandom is rooted in the Skywalker Saga, right?
As I would think,
right? As is for most Star Wars fans, our fandom is built on the Skywalker Saga.
Mm-hmm.
And this is being presented as the conclusion of the Skywalker Saga. This is the final trailer for the Skywalker Saga. This, the last three movies that George Lucas promised, right? Like years and years ago, and then he wasn't going to do them, and then he is going to do them, and he did the 1, 2, and 3, and then he sold Lucasfilm, and then Disney took it, right? So the three final pieces changed dramatically.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much completely changed, which made Lucas, vocally unhappy.
Mark Hamill was vocally unhappy.
Yeah,
as well.
Mark Hamill vocalized his displeasure with the direction that Disney took it, because they didn't really allow for a conclusion to the Skywalker Saga. They really kind of made the conclusion of the Skywalker Saga Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And they made these next three films about totally new characters, and they just briefly they threw out a little bit of like red meat for fans with
putting like
especially with like Force Awakens, where it was essentially a New Hope.
Yes,
rebooted.
I'm still a fan of freaking Force Awakens.
So
That's my favorite.
I enjoyed the movie.
So
yeah, I like the movies. It's not. We'll save the Last Jedi conversation for another time. But I guess the broader, and it kind of goes to your point, is I think the reason that I didn't feel like if they had really given the Skywalker Saga characters their real, true kind of last hurrah,
right?
Then this trailer would have been like, I probably would have been like tearing up a little bit, because it's you grew up with these stories and these characters and the whole thing, and to see them get a chance to go out with a bang, that would have been really cool. And I just feel like that got stripped out for the sake of these new characters. And it's not that I don't like the new characters, but I'm not as attached to them as I was Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia,
that's exactly
Han
my
Solo,
point. Yeah.
Chewbacca, because I don't feel like these, episodes 7 and 8 were as far as like a continuity of story, they weren't as coherent. They were kind of like jumping all over the place. I mean, some of these characters they want us to care about, we just got introduced to in the last movie.
Exactly. I mean, I think even the biggest point, besides even just the story itself, is like, how long have we been following like Luke, Han, and all these characters?
Right.
I mean, you have 6 movies.
Yeah, you're talking about a fan base that's built over 40 years.
You got all the comics, you got the Dark Horse comics, you got the Marvel comics, you got the all the animated series and stuff. So
novels,
these characters have been with us since the 70s.
Right.
So these, Rey and Poe and Finn and all the new characters, as cool as they may be, we've only known them for like what, 4 years?
Yeah.
So there's no way we're gonna be as attached to these characters.
And I guess and the problem with it is that they're selling it as a conclusion of a saga, and we all know this isn't the end of Rey's arc.
Unless
this isn't what I mean?
They're pranking us all, and somehow, some way, we freaking get like Obi-Wan back, Anakin, like they're all there at the end fighting Palpatine, and I'm like,
okay, all right, don't get me false hope,
dude. Could you imagine?
Because
at the end of the trailer, where you just see Palpatine and he's with Rey and stuff, but like somehow like even just the Force ghosts.
Yeah.
But since they're Force ghosts and they're so like they're able to fight with her, and they're all, oh man.
I don't know how I would feel about that, because you've never seen Force ghosts engage in anything, and we don't even know.
I'll tell you how I feel about that. Freaking jacked.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we're definitely getting Luke as a Force ghost. I mean, you hear him in the trailer. So we know we're getting him as some sort of a Force presence.
For sure.
Leia is probably going to see her end in this film, I'd have to imagine.
Yes.
And we're going to get her as some kind of a Force presence probably by the end. What would be very cool, because we got Yoda in The Last Jedi. What would be super cool is if there was like a moment where you saw like, Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon and, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's the stuff I want.
Yeah, something like that would be very cool. I guess I was so disappointed with how they wrapped up, how they took
Padme,
out Luke.
Oh, that would be cool too. They got Natalie Portman back.
Yeah, that would be cool.
If
they did some sort of
like respect to all the legacy
it's
that
like the Hall of Presidents with Star Wars characters.
You can make it work. They've made weirder things work.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm really curious to see how JJ pulls it all together and kind of salvages some of what I view as a mess from The Last Jedi. Because it was, there were good things about Last Jedi, and there were things that just was like, man, what is going on here? Like, where is this going?
All I'm saying is, Iger, hire Filoni. Hire him.
Well,
I mean, he's already hired.
He's already hired
for the live action movies. I know he's doing the Mandalorian.
He's doing I'm telling you, that's coming. That's coming. Give him an Old Republic. The Old Republic. Give Filoni the Old Republic trilogy for the love of God.
Movie.
Oh, yeah. Listen, if that got announced, I would have to take the rest of the day off.
Dude, he is like we've known of him forever. Obviously, he's been he's probably he is like as far as behind the scenes, like creatively. He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the
over
guy.
J.J. Abrams, over anyone who's directed any film,
even over Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, like creatively speaking,
for sure. Like Filoni.
Yeah,
Filoni's the dude. He needs to be the Feige of all things Star Wars. Because he's just, I love that man. God bless him.
I mean, in reality, if this is also going to be stepping into a kind of a hornet's nest, but in my opinion, he should be running Lucasfilm. From the creative direction.
No, if I remember correctly, I think when we were at Star Wars Celebration this past year, I think he said, or someone around him said, that he knows more about Star Wars than George Lucas himself. The creator of Star Wars.
You know who that came from? George Lucas said it.
Yeah. Okay. See. Yeah.
Lucas was quoted as saying that Filoni was correcting his some of his understandings of Star Wars mythos by the end. Because, he's an understudy of George Lucas going way, way, way back. So he was mentored by the guy who created that universe. So, yeah, he knows from a creative standpoint, like he knows Star Wars better than anyone.
For all we know, he probably does have some contracts set up that he's not allowed to announce. So like next year's Comic-Con where he's like, yeah, I'm doing the Old Republic next year. That's what happened.
That's all I want. That is all I want. And the fact that him and Favreau are doing with The Mandalorian, which comes November 12th. I am so ready.
When Disney Plus drops, we are gonna have so much to talk about.
God.
So much.
It's like that is gonna be a never-ending source of discussion coming from that streaming platform between Star Wars and Marvel, and oh my goodness.
I don't even care. I'm excited about that Forky series. I don't even care. Toy Story.
Yeah, that.
Give me some Forky.
What is it, Hannah Montana or whatever the heck is? Not Hannah Montana, Lizzie McGuire.
Oh, dude, they're doing Lizzie McGuire. Oh, I'm so excited for the Lizzie McGuire reboot. I don't even care. She was like one of my biggest crushes when I was a kid. Dude, that show is awesome.
He's been talking about Lizzie McGuire since they announced it.
Dude, I'm because now she's like in like her 30s now. And she's got a daughter and stuff, and they're bringing back the cartoon version of herself as her conscious. I'm watching that. Come on now. Come on. I don't even care.
All right. Well. I'll leave you to it. That's all you.
But let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
So next up, we have the Watchmen pilot to talk about. HBO's brand new series, not Zack Snyder's movie.
Right.
The new series on HBO. And what did you watch it? You go first.
Yeah, I watched it. You watched it before I did.
I did, and I was like, Tim, you got to watch it before we do the podcast.
Like,
we got to talk about
it. There's some thoughts. There's thoughts. Yeah, it was like the Joker in a sense, because I kind of ended the first episode. I kind of finished it, and I was a little bit like, okay, because they just open up a whole can of worms.
Yes,
they just present all kinds of questions,
lots of them,
and leave you with nothing. And there's some shocking
that
moments
is like the
in
most
it.
Perfect explanation of the episode.
To where you're just like, wait, what did I just? In a way, I was very much confused at what I just watched because it is totally different.
Yes,
from the original novel or graphic novel and film. Which is based on the graphic novel, but
it's very much like, so it's in the future. It's in 2019.
Yeah.
So everything that's happened, I guess, in the Watchmen novel, or I don't even know if it's supposed to be linked to the movie. It very much seems. The movie literally is almost a page for page.
For me
of the novel.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say it is.
It felt totally detached for me.
Did it really?
It really did. You know, they mentioned Rorschach's name, that you see replicas, people wearing like versions of his mask. And then, you know, you see Dr. Manhattan on Mars for like a couple of brief moments. But outside of that, it felt so detached. But its own thing.
Well, it's definitely its own thing. But what I kind of meant was, as far as like, because this is years after the Watchmen we saw in the movie or novel took place. So this is just like, yeah, that all still happened, which we see, you know, in the trailers and stuff, that Dr. Manhattan is going to be in the series, and he's still there because he's freaking Dr. Manhattan and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is just like, in 2019, this is what happened because of those events.
Yeah.
So it's all new, which I'm sure Alan Moore is loving. I'm sure he's thrilled about this HBO series.
Absolutely. He's doing cartwheels.
But it's very interesting because of that. They could do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I was not excited, because Watchmen was very much, because they've done, you know, before DC did before Watchmen, and they've done, you know, other things that kind of expand upon it. But for me, it's never really worked that much. Watchmen was its own kind of self-contained thing, where it was just like, oh, everyone loves this, so maybe we could, you know, make money off of it, because everyone loves it. They're gonna buy the prequels or the sequels. And I mean, I guess that's what they're doing with the movie, and they're right, because I'm definitely gonna watch it, and have watched the first episode. But I liked it. I don't know if I like where they're going with it, as far as everything they established in the first episode, where you have the antagonist of the series, you know, taking on Rorschach's mask and symbol, and kind of like perverting that a little bit.
Right.
So, but I did like the tone of it. I liked a lot. It was very almost like that sci-fi RoboCop tone.
Yeah.
I love that the cops are forced to wear
almost
masks
dystopian, but not quite.
Right. I'm not going to get too spoilery.
Right.
This is all in the trailer, but the cops are forced to wear masks now. So, you know, civilians, people don't know who they are. That way, you know, they're not going to be targeted, you know, in their everyday lives. They're not allowed to use their firearms. They have to get permission. Their guns are locked in their car.
Yeah, they're locked.
They have to call it in from, like, you know, the police station.
Which
and
was
stuff.
I thought that was one of the most interesting.
Very interesting, yes. And it made for a very tense moment. I'm not gonna.
It did. We won't get into what it was,
but it was very tense. So I like all the things they're doing. There was just something, and I can't really put my finger on it, that I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this long term.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
but I did like it. I did like it.
From the trailers, I was curious. And even though we were told it wasn't, I was like, you know, because of the whole TikTok, TikTok, right? I was like, okay, are they going to draw from, you know, Jeff Johns in any way with Doomsday Clock? Are they gonna pull from any of that?
Right.
And we're gonna get some kind of an alternate version of what he's doing with Doomsday Clock, and it is not at all.
No,
it is not at all.
Because then we would have Batman in it.
Yeah, and you know, DC has been, especially more recently, they've been pulling from the Watchmen and utilizing the characters, especially Dr. Manhattan.
This Doomsday Clock storyline that's been going on. It's supposed to be a year.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a year. It's going on 5 now. We love you, Jeff. But
we really do. That's not even sarcasm. I really do. Freaking awesome.
But you know, I guess my biggest concern, because I did like it. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I liked it. It just left me with almost like a giant question mark over my head, because I guess my biggest worry was, in the end, was, are they just going to leverage the Watchmen universe
and its characters
in that, you know, the Watchmen stories are very, you know, politically, you know, subversive.
For sure.
Obviously, they're dealing with social critiques and things like that, which this show definitely is looking to accomplish. So, you know, it's dealing heavy with race relations and things like that. So it's definitely looking to tackle some really heavy issues. So is it just looking to leverage the Watchmen universe to do that? You know what I mean? And we're not really going to get, because the show's called Watchmen.
Yes. But I feel like, almost like you said, because we just have so many questions at this point, I think the whole point was to be like, well, like, you know, because it's
well, I mean,
right?
Yeah.
And he's known for never answering anything right away. So it was very much like, oh yeah, of course he's like a big part of this. So yeah, I mean, I think, to be fair, because for me anyway, for any comic book or TV show, I go to I give you 2 or 3 issues or 2 or 3 episodes.
You have to.
Yeah.
Just to be fair to the creator.
Because you can't really get, I mean, you could some of the times, if like they'll get you hooked right away.
Yeah.
But I would even say most of the time that's not the case.
Yeah.
To where it's like, no, you kind of have to like learn to like the character, see what's going on, and like, you know, you have to develop a relationship with them, if
You
you will.
too. You got to give them a chance.
But I am excited for. I will be watching it again. I believe it's every Sunday.
Every Sunday, right?
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
So I will be watching it.
Yeah,
and we'll probably talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Every week, just to recap.
Yeah,
on
we're definitely gonna be doing highlights, and we're not getting into spoilers right now because it is brand new. We want to give people time to watch it, but going forward, as we get deeper and deeper into the season, we are going to start talking very openly about the show.
I actually forgot that it premiered this past Sunday. My friend posted on Instagram. I'm like, oh crap! So I literally just turned it on the TV like right away.
Yeah, but it's good, and I am looking forward to seeing how because I watch. A lot of people don't watch that after trailer. Like the coming soon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And people don't like to be. I watch them.
I did watch it too. I gave
because
a big
overview. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
People, some people don't like that, but and I watch it. I will say coming over the season, it made me want to watch.
I just want.
It looks interesting.
Dr. Manhattan. I know he's going to be in it. I hope he's in it for a good amount because Dr.
I'm so curious. Are we going to see him other than in A Distance from Mars?
Well, in the trailer, he showed up on Earth.
He does?
Yeah, he showed up on Earth.
Oh, I don't know that I saw that.
Yeah. So, I mean,
well then,
it's Dr. Manhattan. So, I mean, that could have been somewhere else, I guess, because he could do anything. But I would imagine it's Earth.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to find out.
I'm excited too.
But I guess after the consensus after the first episode is we liked it.
Yeah, we did like it. Although,
but we're not sure.
But before we move on, we have to touch on it because for me it was the biggest question mark of the entire episode. Jeremy Irons.
Oh.
Who the freak is he? No, we don't know. And why is his servants and butler and maid weird with him and massaging his thighs?
It was so strange. Naked.
I said I wouldn't spoil.
Dude,
I don't think that's a spoiler.
Listen, that creeps me out.
Maybe is a spoiler.
Is that it? I don't know.
Don't be mad.
Don't be mad if that's a spoiler. That creeped me out because I was like, oh God. Because I just imagine that's happening somewhere for real in real life.
But it's freaking
some billionaire is just sitting somewhere at a desk, butt naked, having some poor maid massage his or her thighs.
Alfred, why?
But yeah, that was. I love Jeremy Irons.
For me, I was
so much.
I do, yes, yeah.
So whatever he is, I'm glad he's there.
I mean, yeah.
And I can't see. There was one thing I really want to talk about, and I can't talk about it. It's a little.
You sure it wasn't his thighs more?
It was. It's not his thighs, although that's notable.
I can't believe you spoiled his thighs.
You spoiled Jeremy Irons' thighs.
Now I know we see his thighs.
Dear God.
But sticking in the TV universe. CW. Now.
Oh, here we go.
CW. Now, I will say, originally I watched all the CW shows, but slowly I've fallen off. I only watch. I think I only actually watch The Flash now. That's the last one I'm holding on to. I gave Batwoman a chance. I don't know if I'll continue watching that one. I'll leave that there.
And I will say also, very honestly, I have not seen any of them.
Okay.
I've watched. So this, I've watched a couple of episodes of Flash.
Right.
In the first season, and I think I've seen maybe one episode of Green Arrow. All right. That's where I stop.
Well, to be fair, as of recent, I just got tired of them. In all honesty, for me, the quality.
I give you credit. You made it a lot longer than I thought.
I'm a fan of all these characters and stuff like that, so I always give them the benefit of the doubt. But then there gets a point where I'm like, okay, I can't justify giving because I'm watching. There's got 5 different shows, 5 hours a week to try to watch all these shows, and I'm not really even enjoying them that much. I'm just watching it because you know Green Arrow or whatever's in it.
Right.
So the only one I'm still watching is Flash, but I do love the crossovers because they're just fun. It's basically like their MCU on TV where you see Supergirl and the Flash and Arrow and all the DC Legends guys. Anyway, newest one they're doing later this year is Crisis on Infinite Earths.
It's the only one that I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
They're pulling out all this out. It actually looks really cool.
It's everything that I've ever wanted them to do. Actually, in the podcast in July, the proof of concept, if you will, episode, we touched on that, how I've said, because we talked about this event there too, how I was like, how long have I been saying that what the DCU needs to do is when they do a Flash movie, have like the Flash running through the time stream or something like that, and then you see like Keaton Batman Flash there, and you see like Reeves Superman Flash. Even give me Val Kilmer Batman. Give it all to me and be like, oh, it's all there. It's part of the multiverse.
I'm telling you, man, they have our phones tapped.
So that's exactly what they're doing with this.
Yeah.
Even so far, that freaking Michael Keaton Batman himself will have a cameo in this series.
Well, not a like.
Okay,
I mean, you got to be more descriptive than that, because that's not exact.
Well, I was gonna elaborate. He's having a cameo in the sense where they took his picture from either from Batman Returns, because as we know, Catwoman was in Batman Returns along with Danny DeVito Penguin. And the newspaper article says that billionaire Bruce Wayne to marry Selena Kyle.
Right.
And
which is
that's
really
a direct
cool, man.
tie into freaking Batman Returns, and they're showing his image. They got his likeness there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's freaking awesome. What else do we got? Kevin Conroy is playing old man Bruce Wayne. A lot of people are speculating. Obviously, it's going to be the Batman Beyond universe, because that's when Bruce Wayne is older and stuff like that.
Which is insane.
So we might get a tease of the Batman Beyond bat suit.
You got Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh. Is it Routh or Ruth?
Routh,
I
believe, yes.
Sorry, Brandon.
Kingdom Come Superman.
Yep.
Which is amazing. His suit looks so cool. There's just so many Easter eggs. We also got I forget his name, but he played a reporter in the Christopher Reeves Superman movies. I believe.
I can't remember his name as well.
But he's also gonna make a cameo.
Jimmy, right? He played Jimmy. Jimmy Olsen.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. Forgive me. But then we also have Burt Ward reprising his role as a much older Robin, which
is both awesome and insane.
It's just, and there's
is he going to be like an animated version?
No, there's already got a set photo of him in like a red sweater Robin thing.
Is he wearing Spanx? How's this gonna play out?
He's an older, weathered Robin.
Well, that's awesome, man.
But just the fact that all these things they're bringing they were trying to get Michael Rosenbaum, who was a Smallville Lex Luthor, but that didn't work out. Then we also have Clark Kent and Lois Lane from Smallville in this
which is
crossover
pretty cool.
as well. Just I'm sure I'm missing a ton. Point is, we're having people from the DC animated stuff, from other DC TV series.
They're pulling everybody in.
They're pulling everyone they can. There's even rumors. It's a rumor, so take this with a grain of salt, that we might get an appearance from Ben Affleck Batman. Whether that's a picture or an actual appearance of him,
there's no
we
way.
Don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. That would, because
how do you convince Ben Affleck to show up on a CW show?
What if they use just unused footage from one of the movies where they?
I mean, that's possible,
because they own all that.
They could,
so they could just throw it in if they wanted to.
Yeah, that they could do. And just sign off on. Yeah, okay, go ahead, use it. Whatever.
Another one. See, they're just rolling in that the DC Universe Titans from the DC Universe streaming app.
Oh, right.
Will also make an appearance. That is a rumor as well. That is not confirmed. But point is, everything. Anything is possible with this series.
Overall, the concept is so fun.
Yes.
That's fan service for days.
Fanboy's dream.
Yeah.
And I know because I'm a fanboy.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
So I'm very, very excited for this. And once that airs, I'm going to rant here for days about it.
Well, everyone is going to be a tireless rant. Yeah, every episode. Yeah, because you got, are they talking about wrapping up The Flash? Because I know Green Arrow's done.
Green Arrow's done, but there's rumors that the Flash might die in this crossover event. So
see, that's exactly where I was headed. Is I wonder if they're going to use this to end the Flash show.
So
this has been going on. What is 8 seasons?
No, 5, 6. I think 6, 5 or 6.
It's in 6. It's 6.
It's in 6 or it's in 5. I believe 6.
Okay,
a lot of years.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe, and then they could have.
I think they'd be smart to do that. They would be
really.
Yeah, I think they would smart to let him go out in a very cool event, or at least start the events that transpire into a conclusion.
I would be very shocked because Arrow, we knew for a year this was going to be the last season. Yeah. So if they were to kill off Flash and not have Grant Gustin return as the Flash, that would be very shocking. Just because
that would be shocking.
That went under the radar completely. Yeah. There's rumors, but to get. Besides Stephen Amell, Grant Gustin is Mr. CW superhero.
Right.
So that would be crazy.
That would be weird if they did that, I think. They'd be smarter to set things up to where he dies maybe in the final season or something like that.
Yes.
Or he dies and then the show never comes back and they're like, surprise! We never intended to bring it back.
I doubt they will, though. I mean, I feel like, with contracts and stuff.
Well, that's their biggest, as far as shows go, that's their biggest moneymaker.
Flash and Arrow. I don't know which one's more, but those two for sure.
I thought I read it was
But they're
Flash.
doing a new one now. They're doing the Arrow's going to continue now with
Right.
New characters and stuff like that. I believe his sister's taking over the Arrow role, and then they got Batwoman, so that's another new one. So they're making a bunch more that I guess could replace all these older ones.
It's pretty interesting. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out, especially with what they're doing with the DC universe, and then next year when Warner Brothers TV comes out, WBTV, whatever.
No shortage of superhero TV shows in the near future.
No,
not at all.
I'm dude. These streaming wars. And we'll get into this more in the next podcast maybe, but the streaming wars that we're entering into, we are going to get some content.
It's true.
We're going to be getting content we never thought we would ever see because of these studios and platforms.
Like the Lord of the Rings Amazon series?
I'll say it again. All right, but with that, I think that we probably should wrap this up. This is we put a little meat on these bones.
We did. We're trying to keep these to around 45 minutes ish, but I think this is gonna be a little bit over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this is gonna be a little bit over. Yeah, yeah, and you'll learn over time. We like to talk.
We do.
We like to talk, which for this format, I guess, is a good thing.
But I'm sure as we go on, we'll be more streamlined.
Yeah.
As we're doing
and we'll probably simplify the number of topics that we're going to cover over.
And not be like, hey, we're going to talk about 20 things today.
Yeah.
Ready, go.
But there is a lot. There's actually some things that we're probably not going to get to today.
Yeah,
we'll roll over to the next week's episode.
For sure.
Yeah. But, also, before we go, Halloween is tomorrow.
It is.
So happy Halloween.
Yes.
You got any traditions, any movies that you like to watch?
I do.
Halloween?
So every year I usually try to watch all the classic stuff. So Nightmare on Elm Street, all those, all the Halloween movies, Child's Play, slasher. I grew up watching those on I don't even know what channel it was, AMC or whatever.
Don't go to sleep.
Yeah, all those horror marathons. And I love the Universal Monster stuff.
Oh yeah,
that classic
that's where it's at.
Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. If you guys haven't seen that movie, you have to watch it.
Yeah,
that is a classic and a must. And then over the last 2 years, I now have a 2.5-year-old. So she's obsessed with all things like Disney, Pixar and Toy Story and all that stuff. But we showed her last year what she liked, Nightmare Before Elm Street.
You showed her Nightmare on Elm Street? My God, man.
No, Nightmare Before Christmas. And she is digging it this year because now she's older, and talking a lot more. And she just goes around the house saying what's this? What's this? So I think that's going to be a new tradition with her is Nightmare Before Christmas, which I don't mind because
that's a good tradition.
Love that movie. I saw that in theaters.
And that's a great one because you can watch that for Halloween or Christmas.
Yes.
Which is what we do.
But everyone has to ask, is it a Christmas movie or is it a Halloween movie?
It's got to, okay, yeah, it's a fair question. It's a good question because you can watch it for either. We watch it every Halloween and every Christmas in our house.
But if you had to pick one.
I say it's a horror movie.
A horror movie?
A horror movie?
A Halloween movie.
Halloween movie. And Nightmare on Elm Street. I say it's a Halloween movie because it starts with Halloween and it ends with Halloween.
I agree with this. I do agree with this.
So I would say it falls. But it
could swing
fun to watch.
It swings both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, because in our house, I've got 4 kids of my own. Of course, you know that. I've got mine are a little older than yours, so we're watching. But we Nightmare Before Christmas is a tradition in our house too. But we also like to watch the Harry Potter movies.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so that's a fun one. We're all big Harry Potter fans in our house, so we watch all 8 of the Harry Potter films over the course of October. So
you know what doesn't make sense to me? I know for ABC Family, for Christmas they play the Harry Potter movies because there's one movie that takes place during Christmas, so they're like, it's a Christmas movie.
It kind of it's John Williams' score, I think. You think for the first few, anyway.
So you think it has that fantasy?
Yeah, it's got kind of it's got that fantasy magical element to it that maybe they think matches.
It's not Christmas though.
Well, didn't they release them around Christmas though?
I believe.
Maybe that started the tradition, or am I remembering that wrong?
I have no idea. I can't answer that.
I don't remember that either. We should look into that. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the key to why they do that. But yeah, it is a little because they don't show it at Halloween.
No, I don't have
that
cable.
I've seen.
I don't have cable anymore, so I'm out of the loop with all that stuff because I just all streaming now. I got the Hulus, the Amazon.
We're gonna get corrected hard
HBO.
on this.
Yeah,
I have a feeling we're.
I don't have cable, so I'm sorry.
Have you know, sirs, that they play it as a marathon every Halloween. But the Universal Monsters is also a big one. Yes. That's like a classic. My wife she's a big horror fan.
I know.
Like you. Yeah, you know well.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a huge horror, especially the slasher films. I like supernatural, more stuff like The Conjuring.
That
What Lies Beneath, like supernatural thrillers, stuff like that. Because some of them they get kind of redundant for me. So but
that's kind of
Halloween is the only time of year where I'll expand my horizons and check out some new ones.
That's kind of a problem for me too, because my wife hates scary movies. She hates horror movies.
Oh yeah.
So I can't watch them with her. Meaning, if I want to watch them, I have to do it in the living room or somewhere else. She doesn't even like to hear them because it creeps her out. Yeah. So she's like, if I can't sleep tonight, I'm keeping you up with me. So
if you want to see people get their guts hacked out, you go in the other room.
So it makes it a little harder, but yeah, I still enjoy them a lot. So maybe I'll watch them with your wife, and then you can hang out with my wife.
We'll do a wife swap.
Wife swap.
That sounded really weird for the first episode. Really we apologize.
But it is funny that how we contrast that way.
Yeah, totally. That's but we've talked about several times. It's almost like we're the exact same couples in reverse.
Yes,
in a lot of ways.
That's really funny.
Yeah, but yeah, happy Halloween to everybody. It's I know I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna be taking the kids, trick or treating for a portion of the day, and then we have plans to watch something creepy. I don't know yet.
You should watch. Hear me out. You should watch.
I don't know if I like where this is going.
Friday the 13th.
I can't.
You do it. Just do it.
I've seen
because it's old and dated, so it's not really scary, but it's more cheesy now. But it's great because it's just great.
Listen, I know I may have just upset a bunch of people. I'm just not a fan. Like my wife grew up watching those. I think the first time she watched Friday the 13th, she was like 10.
You probably me too.
Yeah, probably you too. And she loves those things, but to me they're just
like so nostalgic.
It's just not my cup of tea.
All right, whatever.
They're just but because I was looking at thinking about either Poltergeist.
Well, that's a good one.
Or it's also shadow directed by Steven Spielberg, who's that's my guy.
Watch Jaws. Jaws is technically a horror movie.
I mean, technically it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, kind of one of my annual traditions is What Lies Beneath by Robert Zemeckis. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah, it's amazing. Michelle Pfeiffer, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So a lot of people would categorize that as a thriller, but what people don't realize is that a lot of that stuff falls under the horror movie genre. So
for sure.
Yeah. So that's usually more my speed. It's just creepy enough.
In any case, that's what we'll be doing this Halloween.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys are going to do for Halloween.
But with that said, I guess that we're going to wrap things up here for our very first episode of Variant the Podcast.
We're excited to have all you guys on board. Feel free to hit the subscribe button and keep listening every week so you get notified whenever our episodes post. It's going to be posting, obviously, not only on the YouTube channel here, so you can see it and watch us.
On iTunes.
But it's also
SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify.
Yep.
Basically anywhere you could listen to podcasts.
Yep. Every platform, medium available, you can find that in the links associated with the podcast.
Yep. And if you
sign up away.
And if you like the podcast, please, whether it's on SoundCloud, iTunes, whatever, YouTube, just subscribe because that helps the channel out.
Right.
All the analytics and all that fun stuff, and then you'll be notified for whenever we upload new content.
Yeah, and also, give us a good, give us a rating if you're enjoying the podcast. Yes. Give us a rating. So I think that increases and helps us out too, somewhere in the algorithm or something.
For sure. Also, comment and let us know what topics you would like us to talk about. Because I find on our normal YouTube videos that helps a lot too. Because it's nice to know what you guys want, as obviously we're making this content for you guys, and a lot of times you guys have really good suggestions, which we've actually used.
Yeah, many times.
So comment away on talk about this, talk about that, and it might happen.
Yeah, it'll show up, even if it's just because we're thinking the same thing. It's going to show up. But thanks for joining us on our first episode, and we will see you guys next time
when we talk about all things comics.